Today, I'm riding this sleeper train for 52 hours across America. I'm going to show you exactly what it's like to live on this train, from economy to first class, to how you shower, what food you get, and what it's like to sleep on board. There's even a separate viewing car to enjoy one of the world's most epic railway journeys, from cities to mountains to deserts. Let's pick up my story at the beginning of this mammoth trip in Chicago, Illinois. We're going to be trying out a really long train today. I'm running very late, it's only half an hour until it leaves. Typical me, let's head over there now. Oh, and before we begin, I just want to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video. Right, let's go catch a train. This is Union Station, Amtrak's Midwest hub. This iconic building opened in 1925. I feel it's a fitting start to our 2,500 mile journey. Unfortunately, the Amtrak ticketing office is in a far less romantic part of the station, this 1990s refit. You can also check a bag here, just like at an airport, but for me, as usual, I only have carry-on. I've also got lounge access, something which you probably didn't realise happens when it comes to trains. I didn't realise. So what exactly do you get in a premium train lounge? Well, it's no Delta Sky Club, but it's enough to quench your thirst prior to getting on board. Talking of which, I make it boarding time for our train today, the aptly named California Zephyr. I appear to have joined the very end of the California Zephyr conga. We're escorted as a group to our corresponding platform. It really does feel like the beginning of a huge adventure. The fact I'm going to be continuously moving across the country for the next 3 days, all the way over to sunny California. Meanwhile, however, about -10 here at the minute. I tell you what though, the sheer scale of these trains really blows my mind. Double-decker carriages continuing as far as I can see. What have I let myself in for? I think we've found the one that I'm in. It's 532. After having my tickets checked, I'm ushered on board. Welcome to my new home for the next 3 days. This superliner carriage is over 2 levels. I'm heading up to Roomette 9, but for clarity, here's a seat map of my carriage. There are 7 bedrooms and 14 roomettes. And yes, before you ask, we'll be looking at them all in detail in just a second. Oh, well here we go. Number 9. Right, let me get settled in and I'm going to show you all around. We've got plenty of time to do that, remember, because this is my home now for 52 hours. It's not long before we slowly trundle out of Union Station, and within a few minutes, we emerge from our underground world, revealing a beautiful, brisk Chicago afternoon. Now is the perfect time to share with you the first leg of this epic voyage. It's 2:30 now, and we'll travel relentlessly for the next 1,000 miles across 3 states, reaching our first refueling stop tomorrow morning in Denver, Colorado. Right, so we're now properly on our way, and I think what's so exciting is that already we are in the suburbs of Chicago within literally a few minutes. Now I know that sounds very obvious, of course, but I haven't really comprehended the scale of this trip today. As we glide through the snowy countryside, let's take a look around my cabin, otherwise known as a roomette. This is a room designed for 2 people, however, I've got to be honest, I would say it's much more comfortable for 1 person, and you'd probably be better off getting one of the individual rooms, which I'll show you shortly if you're traveling as a couple. But more on that in a minute. First of all, what is this actually like? You've got here your tray table, and that folds out as so. You can see very lightly that there is like a checkers board. I've just used it as a desk to work on. Of course, you've got the pillows provided. Your bedding is all up in the upper bunk, which we'll take a proper look at a bit later. And yes, I will be embarrassing myself getting in the top bunk. I'll be sleeping on the bottom seat, and this just folds out really into a bed. In terms of other things that we've got going on here, you've got your controls. So there is a power point, which is really useful. There is only one, unfortunately, so it might be worth bringing a multi-adapter. There's also, you can adjust the cooling of your cabin here. Moving over, on the other side is actually a little bit different. You've got a call bell for your attendant, and then a light here. Now this here goes to your, turns it into a blue light, which is your night light, and then this here turns it all the main lights on. You've obviously got curtains that go across, blackout curtains, and you've also got a little closet. I wasn't too sure on the cleanliness of this in here, so I didn't put anything in here. You've got some hand towels, but the other towels are actually downstairs in the shower. The only other thing that I wanted to mention as well, you've got privacy curtains, they go across and they Velcro in, and they completely black out, which is nice. We've been going around 45 minutes now, and I've just heard the announcement on the tannoy, and basically, so this is the menu that I can choose from, which is phenomenal, by the way. Obviously I haven't tasted the food yet, so it might be terrible, but basically someone's going to come along, take my order, and also have me booked in for a sitting. So basically what happens is you choose 2 times. One is 5:30, the other is 6:45, I believe. Now it's communal dining as well, so I'm gonna have to try and make some friends. It's worth noting at this point, all meals are included on board, along with 1 alcoholic drink with your dinner and unlimited soft drinks. There is also a cafe on board, should you be hungry in between meals. I'll show you this a little bit later on. Right, so it is now time to get off for what they call a smoke break. So, welcome to Galesburg. It's nice to get some fresh air. This is the thing about this trip, is I am continuously on this train for the next, well, now it'll be 50 hours. They've given us specific instructions not to wander too far away from the train, because of course it will go without us, which I definitely don't want to do because all my stuff's on board. Basically they have these intermittently throughout the trip, these smoke stops. It's just nice to go out and have a bit of fresh air, because being cooped up on a train for the amount of time that we're going to be is it's just going to be quite hard to get used to, I think. It's cool, isn't it? Really wide angle as well, so you get everything in. Wow. They're not wrong when they say that is a short stop. Can you imagine being over there and realising, crap, I've got to get on the train and it's going away. That is the last stop in Illinois. Next state, and a new state for me, Iowa. We're going to cross the Mississippi in a minute as well. That's the state line. That's going to be pretty cool. Hoping it stays light just enough to go through there, and then it's going to get dark. Because obviously it's the middle of winter now, so well, you can obviously guess that because of the snow. As we sail through the snowy countryside, let's go and explore the other sleeping quarters, namely the bedroom. Significantly wider and more spacious than the roomette, there's a sink and vanity mirror as you enter. Once inside, you'll note a comfy armchair and sofa. The sofa actually converts to a bed, and you'll be able to fold down your other bed from above. The real benefit of this room is it's ensuite, unlike my roomette, and it's complete with a proper shower. Yeah, pretty cool. I mean, they are significantly more expensive than what I have paid for mine. If you're traveling as a solo traveler, it's probably best to go for what I've gone for, the roomette. If you're a couple, this is definitely a better option, I feel. So we're about to cross the Mississippi and into Iowa, which is a completely new state for me. Right then, just before we head to the dining car for dinner, here's a quick word from today's video sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace make it super easy for you to set up and host a website. And no, you don't have to know complicated coding. Squarespace really have this down, handling it all from your domain name through to the design, hosting, social media linking, and even your search engine optimization. The best bit is Squarespace offering you a free trial and 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Just head over to squarespace.com/TrekTrendy and use the coupon code TrekTrendy. Thanks again Squarespace for making this video possible. Well, I'm not sure about you, but I'm starved. Let's go try Amtrak dining together. The dining car is located adjacent to the last sleeper car on the upper level. I'm disappointed to find I'm not seated next to a new friend. Apparently, due to how quiet the train is, solo dining is encouraged due to COVID. Let's get stuck into this menu then. Bear in mind I'd already ordered my starter just as we left Chicago, and this promptly arrives at my table, the green chili cheese tamale. Now, me being a total muppet, I tried to bite into the corn masa. Oops, one cheapish adjustment later to a knife and fork, and it's back to our regular program. It was spicy and, cheesy, but enjoyable. Next up, I opt for the tortellini with pesto cream. Cooked al dente, this tastes wonderful, and a far cry from the food I saw Amtrak rolling out during the height of the pandemic. Now for my highlight, the chocolate torte. This was incredible, chocolatey and gooey, certainly satisfying my sweet tooth. Dinner out the way, it's time to get my head down, though firstly we'll take a quick pit stop for a loo review on my way to my roomette. So in true trendy fashion, we have to do a loo review. So this is one of the Roomette loos. Now they're not ensuite, but this is basically what you get. It's very similar to an airline bathroom. There are some toilet seat covers, that's a good touch. I'm not quite sure about that. But yeah, as far as loos go on trains, it's not too bad. We actually get an extra hour in bed as well because of the time difference going over into Colorado. But I have to say, it's been a pretty tiring long day today, and I think getting a super early night is probably a good shout. Thanks for joining so far. Looking forward to tomorrow, where the real excitement begins, where we're going to be going through the Rocky Mountains. But anyway, with that said, good night guys, and I'll catch you in the morning.
The next day.
Morning all, it's time for a shower, and this is definitely not as straightforward as you may think whilst on board a train.
It's absolutely typical. So I've come down here because the train's not moving, and the train's just started moving as soon as I get in here. This is going to be interesting. Right then, I haven't really done a shower review. What do we have going on here? Nice big mirror. Obviously got my Lufthansa first class amenity kit, because that's what everyone has on Amtrak, obviously. And they got some soap, and there's a relative amount of room in here, to be fair. Obviously got towels, and then through here we have the shower itself. So it's going to be interesting because we're obviously on a moving train, but yeah, let's roll with it. This is going to be cold. That's success. Well, I will not be using all the clothes. Well, there we have it. Very impressed actually. I think I chose my time right. Whilst the train did start moving a little, thankfully we've stopped again. So it meant that I actually had a pretty normal shower.
Back to my roomette, and it's time to get ready for our arrival into Denver. Let's get those Tims back on and wrap up warmly. Denver is also known as the Mile High City, and it's cold. Denver is also quite a unique stopping point, as the train has to reverse into the station, though as it's for refuelling, this will mark our longest stop of the trip, so certainly time to get out and explore a little. Crikey, it is chilly. I actually have now 1 hour basically. I am not going to be spending too long at the station because I don't want to risk leaving all of my stuff on board and in the train leaving without me. Denver Union Station originally opened in 1881, but after being destroyed and rebuilt several times over the years, its most recent refurbishment in 2014 transformed the building into a hotel, multiple restaurants, train hall, and what we're after, a coffee shop. Anyway, coffee and blueberry muffins secured. Now I'm going to head straight back over to the train. There we have it, we are now leaving Denver. Been nice to get out and stretch my legs, but I'm also very excited because now we're heading into the Rocky Mountains, and it's a chance for me to see somewhere I've never been. I mean, again, I've actually never been to Colorado before, so it's a completely new state in itself. As we're coming out, you can see literally a ton of freight trains. And that's something to note as well, that one of the reasons why Amtrak is notoriously always so
delayed. It's because on the tracks the priority is given to freight, because the freight companies own the railways in the US. That's basically how it works.
For day 2 of our journey, after heading through the Rocky Mountains, we'll follow the Colorado River into Utah, across the Salt Flats and ending up in Reno, Nevada tomorrow morning.
Now that we're on the trail to the Rocky Mountains, I think it's a perfect time to go and explore the observation car without me falling over, because it is incredibly challenging to walk when you're going around corners.
The observation car is located past the dining car towards the rear of the train. Both coach and sleeper service passengers can access this, so it does get pretty crowded, especially when going through the Rockies. This section of the journey is like a dream. Every corner you round, every tunnel, and there are many that you go through. It's the gift that just keeps on giving. I really encourage you to experience this amazing journey for yourself. We're about to pass through one of the most significant engineering marvels of this railroad, the Moffat Tunnel. It was opened in 1928, providing finally a western link through the Continental Divide. Taking 5 years to complete, it shortens the distance between Denver and the Pacific coast by almost 300 kilometers.
Alright folks, we are about to enter the Moffat Tunnel at this time. Please remain in the car you are currently in, as this is a mandatory safety announcement strictly enforced by all crew members. It will take 10 minutes to get through the tunnel, 6.2 miles long.
A few minutes later.
Alright folks, we are now exiting the Moffat Tunnel. Thank you for complying with our safety announcement. Next, we're going to park at Fraser. Here we go.
Wow. The rewards points work? Like, so try and walk to the front of the train. Back inside, crikey, that was very, very cold, but very, very beautiful.
Did you know that Fraser Winter Park Station is America's highest at a staggering 8,500 feet above sea level? Well, I'm not sure about you, but all this travel is making me hungry. What's lunch like on Amtrak? As with my other meals, there are several sittings, but this is unreserved, so it's first come, first serve. Unfortunately, I'm still not able to partake in communal dining, which is no hardship, given the views offer some of the best I've ever had with my lunch. Every time I glance up and out the window, there's new sights and promise of the moose on the loose. Amtrak's words, not mine. My main is here, the Angus burger, served with a side of terra chips, or crisps to my British folk. The burger was succulent and full of flavour, a far cry from the infamous meatballs Jeb Brooks spoke of last year. After the most scenic burger of my life, I'm delighted to find dessert is offered. The Philadelphia cheesecake jumped out at me from the menu, and what a decision. Up there of one of the best I've ever had. Top work, Amtrak. Feeling full, it's time to head back to my roomette. I continue to be in awe of the scenery as we pass through Glenwood Canyon. It's not long before we're closing in on our next stop, where legend states the teddy bear originated, Glenwood Springs.
Right, let's go take a look. This is the next smoke stop.
And don't forget the new train.
So it's what I still can't get my head around is the amount of different places that you see on this journey. You know, considering that this morning I woke up in Denver, and then of course now I am basically, well, the other side of the state, in the mountains. Now I stopped here for 6 minutes, so I don't know why I'm walking so far away from the train, because if I continue this way, I'm gonna get left here, which isn't gonna be particularly great. I'm also trying to upload a YouTube video. Fingers crossed that works. Something to be said about travelling by rail. I know that I'm an aviation guy and I always will be, but to experience this has been so special, and it's been silly things like being disconnected and things being a bit more of a slower pace. And I have to say, I'd definitely do it again.
In what seems like no time at all, we make it over to our second longest smoke stop of the trip and our last alightment in Colorado. It's Grand Junction.
I just wanted to. This is probably massively risky. They do warn you. Just want to have a quick look out here. It's so surreal just getting off and walking into a random town.
Not wanting to push my luck too much, let's check out the station shop, presumably set up for the daily California Zephyr stops. It's a great opportunity to buy things you can't get on the train, and for that reason, it's very popular. Right, let's get back on board. Given that we're heading into Utah and Ruby Canyon, we'll drop over to the observation car for golden hour through yet more spectacular scenery. As we're here, I'll show you downstairs of this carriage where the cafe is located. This is where coach passengers can get their food, as it's not inclusive, or where you can pick up snacks in between meals. Back upstairs, it's got busier as we cross the state line into Utah. With the sun going down, you can already note yet another change in scenery, an almost Martian landscape. And just like that, it's dinner time. My reservation tonight is for the same 6:45 sitting. So what have I chosen? I'll start with the mixed green salad with baby brie. It wasn't anything special if I'm honest, but that's fine, as it's what's next I care about. Of course, it's the famous Amtrak signature steak. I've saved this for my last dinner on board, so how does it taste? It tasted fab, and what's more, it's cooked to your preference, mine being medium rare. Now, I had to choose the torta for dessert. It's certainly a crowd pleaser, as everyone seems to be ordering the same this evening. With that, I think we'll call it a night. I'll head via the bathroom to brush my teeth before settling into my roomette.
Right, I think it's that time. I say that time, it's, you're gonna laugh at this, 8 PM. So with that, I bode you good night, and I'll see you nice and early in the morning. I think we'll be in Nevada in the morning. Yeah, I think we'll be in Nevada, going through the desert. God, this train life is bizarre, isn't it?
The next day.
Well, good morning. It is 5:30 in the morning, very early.
After a quick morning shower and change of clothes, let's head to the observation car for a spot of work. I do need my caffeine hit beforehand though, so it's worth mentioning that coffee is provided throughout the day in each sleeper car. It's really needed this morning as I had quite a broken sleep due to a late night stop in Salt Lake City. After an hour or so of catching up on work, it's time for the sunrise, and what better vantage point to have from a moving train across the Nevadan desert. This reminds me, welcome to the beautiful state of Nevada, and with it, our last day on the rails. That said, we still have quite the way to go today, including one of the route highlights across the Sierra Nevadas. As I grabbed a coffee in Denver yesterday, I missed out on brekkie. Don't worry, I'm not missing it today, as that turned out to be quite the regret, due to the delicious offering this morning. What have I chosen? Well, I've gone for the French toast of course, along with berries and maple syrup. Certainly not the healthiest, but wow, what a treat. After wishing I'd worn trackies to breakfast, let's bring my coffee back to my roomette. We're not far from our first stop this morning, mini Las Vegas, aka Reno.
We are at Reno, which marks almost the last state. We're going to be going into California next. Little smoke stop, but as with all these stops, they're very, very brief. Enough chance to go and stretch your legs. Rush back. Problem is, it's so far, the front of the train is so far from where we are. There's 2 engines, the baggage car just here, and then another sleeping car before you get to me. But I do not want to be missing this. Probably best not to push it that fine next time.
So the drama is over, let's get settled in for our ride through the Sierra Nevadas. It's about to get a whole lot more scenic once again. As we continue our journey up the Truckee River, we enter our last state of the trip, California, and with it, one of the most idyllic and cute cities of the trip, Truckee. As we proceed further into the Sierra Nevadas, we continue up what's called the Donner Pass. And this is named after the ill-fated Donner Party of 1846, who were trapped on the east side of the mountains for the entire winter. Unfortunately, only 45 of the original 81 actually made it safely across the pass. It's quite the grim tale, but shows just how treacherous these pioneer routes really were. Reading this while sat in a cozy roomette, drinking a coffee and listening to Drake, it's certainly very hard to appreciate what it's actually like outside the train. As we continue through the Sierra Nevadas, I fancy a different perspective, so let's drop over to the observation car. It's far less busy than back in the Rockies, so getting a seat is easy. There's something really surreal to me, passing a ski resort at 7,000 feet above sea level on a train. Now, I promised earlier we'd take a look at coach class, so let's head there now. Located behind the observation car, it's laid out in a 2-2 configuration, similar to airline regional business class. While certainly comfortable for a few hours, I'm definitely not hardcore enough to endure 52 hours in one of these. Bear in mind you don't get access to the dining car, or indeed the showers, at any point throughout the trip. We emerge from the mountains nearing Sacramento, which will be our final smoke stop of the journey. Best go stretch those legs.
This young lady's good, she'll take care of you. Well, there we go. Welcome to Sacramento. Last stop, last little smoke break before getting over to San Francisco. I tell you what's most surreal is the contrast in temperatures throughout this trip. Now, I'm actually too hot in this jumper now, it's probably about 18 degrees. Given that we started in Chicago and have gone through places where it's been well into the minuses. Anyway, that said, let's head back on board. One last bit to complete this 52-hour mammoth journey across the USA. As we near our final miles of the journey, I joked earlier about me attempting to get in the top bunk. Well, here it is in all its glory. Now, I'm fully aware this isn't going to be the most flattering thing in the world. Oh. So, the question is, could I sleep up here? It's certainly firmer than the mattress down there. There is a netting. I don't know where the netting is, but there's meant to be a netting that goes just along here to prevent you from falling out. Could I sleep up here? Yes, I could. It's a narrower bed, but I could do it. So it is welcome to San Francisco. What an epic ride that has been across almost the entirety of the United States. What I've seen, what I've experienced, and I'm so glad I was able to take you guys virtually along with me. Do let me know what you thought down in the comments below. With that said, I'm going to go and get some rest on a bed that isn't moving at 70 miles an hour. Thanks very much, guys, and I'll catch you all again very soon. Thanks once again to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/TrekTrendy to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.